Welcome to the Heart-Centered Entrepreneur Series. My name is Jody Maley, and I've been an entrepreneur and business owner for over 27 years now. Thanks for joining the podcast, and I can't wait to share with you tips and ideas on how to grow your heart-centered entrepreneur business. As a personality dimensions coach, I help entrepreneurs discover who they are at their core so they can have real and authentic sales conversations with their ideal clients. We all started or joined a business so that we can make an income on our terms. Whether you're just starting out in your entrepreneur journey or have been in sales for a while, the key to any business is sales and nurturing the sales relationship. So I invite you to sit back, relax, maybe even have your favorite drink and take some notes as we have fun delving in to learn more from the top 1% to 2% income earners who are making such a difference and impact for themselves and their beautiful teams. Their tips and ideas will uplift and inspire you in a heart-centered, authentic way to help lift you up, move you forwards towards your perfect dream and goal. So stay tuned to the end of each podcast as I will share a little gift from me that I know will get you inspired in your beautiful business. All right. Well, welcome my special guest today, Di Carter, to the Heart-Centered Entrepreneur Series. Boop, 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 boop. And actually, you know what? This is the power of people just getting to know people, because Di was actually a referral from one of my other podcast hosts, Miss Sarah Lovely, who is as lovely as her name. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, Di, and where you're from, and then we'll get going.
Hi, everybody. Oh, my goodness. So excited to be here. And what an honor. Jody, thank you so much for letting me be here on your platform, your network, your people that want to hear from more leaders like us. And that is just amazing for you to have the heart to put all of this together. So we love you for that. Just to have a little bit chit chat with you just before this interview, like you make me feel so comfortable. I love your heart already. And just wanted to say that. So it's awesome that we are connected with such amazing people and all the leaders, so we'll be able to be in the interviews. But I love Sarah too. Sarah is so sweet. But anyway, so my name is Di Carter. I am a mama of twins. I also have been in network marketing for this past 6 years, and I'm so passionate about it, to helping women and just helping them succeed on their life. I'm also from Brazil, South America, so you're probably going to hear a little bit of an accent at some point. I speak fluent Portuguese, but I do build my business, everything in English. And just now, a little bit this year, I'm going to start to transition and do some things in Portuguese too, because I started to attracting people from Brazil for some reason on my Instagram, but I'm super excited about that. So thank you so much for having me here. I am so honored to be able to share my heart, share the things that I have learned this past 6 years. It has been a very, very humble beginning, tell the truth. And thank you so much, Jody. I appreciate you.
Well, and it's awesome to have amazing women like you. I've been doing this 27 years. Someone was asking me the other day, what kind of credentials do you have? And I'm like, been doing it 27 years. And I love that you have even going forward in a different language, that just speaks to me too. One of our 6 kids was in French immersion. Quick story, because it's funny. She was in French immersion, and she comes home, and I think she was in grade 2. And she's like, oh, Mom, I heard the funniest joke today. And I'm like, oh, awesome. So I'm like, well, tell it to me. Of course, she says it in French, and I do not know French at all. So I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, what does it mean? And she's laughing away, by the way. She's telling the joke and just like, almost peeing her pants laughing and telling it to me. And then I'm like, well, what's it mean in English? And then she thought, and she's like, yeah, it's not funny in English. So I never did understand what the joke was, but that's amazing that you're going to be bringing that into your community, because that is much, much needed. And so just like you said, we were getting to know each other before the call. And it's like, this is what I love with top leaders, is that there's patterns. There are patterns in all of the leadership skills that we can teach and train. And by the way, even how we met each other, and when I first heard you, it was on Michelle Cunningham's she had a little, I think it was called scripts or whatever. And I'm like, oh, this is something I've been trying to teach to some of my clients and they're not getting it. And I'm a proponent of, even if they don't learn it from me, it doesn't matter how you learn it, as long as you get a light bulb moment, that's going to change. And before we were speaking, and I'm like, hold that thought, because I think it's really, really important. So you were speaking how you have like little notes even around your office. And by the way, you're not the first top person I've spoken to, myself included, that does this. So tell us a little bit about what keeps you motivated.
Yeah, so we were just chit-chatting before, and Judy was like, okay, hold on, wait it right there. We want to talk about this. This is what happened whenever we have the pre-interview, but that's so cool because this is real, right? We want to show you guys the real stuff. It's not scripted. We're speaking from our hearts, and that's what you need to hear because right now you're building your business. So I was telling Judy, I have all these things around my office. It's always reminding me like where I'm going, right? What is my vision? So like right in front of me here, I have like, say, I'm enough, be defiant, right? I was just showing her like a little bracelet to say be defiant. I always have like in front of me, it's like a 7-figure earner, like sayings every day. So it's like right in front of me. On the other side, it's like I have my little vision.
Oh, I
You're
love
with
that.
me. Isn't that cool? Like I made this in Canva right away. Just made this, put my name on a medal and put a grateful daily, and I look at it. So this is a small version of like my vision because I have a vision board right here next to me too, where it says everything where I wanted to go and what I want to accomplish.
And she turned it around and I saw it. And by the way, it's filled with people, which I love because it's people that make the difference. So,
it truly is the people, at first, whenever you started, you feel alone, right? Like in network marketing, because it's just you're the only one bringing customers. You haven't brought a social marketer yet or a distributor, representative, whatever it calls it in your company. Yeah. And then you're like, how come everybody else have people in their team and I don't? It's because the dream has not come out of your heart yet, right? The dream is still like, do I really believe in this? Because once you start in believing, that's when you're going to start building a team. That's whenever you're going to bring more people to your system. So it's pretty amazing. I love it.
And we're going to talk a little bit more about that here in a minute. But, the first company I was with, I didn't even actually know you could build a team. I mean, I grew up with network marketing in my background. My dad he's a retired school teacher now, but he always had like a side hustle. And he was actually one of the first people up here in Canada to join Amway years ago. So I actually was raised in, listening to the tapes, listening to the motivation. We were horrible kids, apparently, so we weren't trusted with babysitters. And my parents actually took us along to their conferences and stuff. And so I grew up with that mentality, but I wanted to do it differently when I was in my 20s and had my first couple kids. And so it's a little bit different now with communities, right? And I love that. So we're going to talk a little bit about that because you were saying that in Michelle Cunningham's group, you had spoken about how you are building teams through, is it messenger chat?
Mm-hmm. Yes, messenger chat.
And tell me a little bit about that. Like, how did that start and how's it working for you still?
So when I first got started in network marketing, I must have claimed this, okay? Because people think as they see you right now, like whatever you're at right now, and you probably might be posting on social media already or doing stories and, maybe trying reels or doing the TikTok, whatever it is right now, right? And people think like you know everything, that the reason you do what you do is because you do what you do now, but they don't know the beginning. So the beginning, when I started network marketing 6 years ago, people just started like doing lives, right? I was clueless. I really didn't know like how to post online. I really didn't know like the meaning of have a nice profile photo and a cover photo and all of that, let alone like thinking about going into chats and talking to people. I thought that you talk to people through the comments, Like back in the days, that's how we did it. We talked to people through comments. Hey, how's everything going? How's your kids? It was no much of like a privacy thing. But once I started network marketing, that's when I heard about private message. And it's like, oh no, on the comments, you're just saying a few things. On the private message, that's when you ask the questions. That's when you get to know people. So that's when I learned how to do that first. And of course, it's very intimidating. So if you feel intimidating right now, like to ask someone a questions, it's totally normal because it is for all of us whenever you get started, even before social media, right? If you were on the phone or meeting someone, right? It was always like, I don't know what to say, but it gets better because you believe in the industry gets better. You believe in the product gets bigger because you take in the products every day. You're seeing the results every day. So now you want to talk more about it, right? And then whenever you see your first paycheck coming in, I remember my first paycheck was like $17, and I never forget the like 17, and I was like, I made money. So I knew it worked. Okay. When I sold my products and I got $17 paycheck, I knew it worked. So I just needed to keep doing it so I can make more money. So the private chats, I started just really, really quickly, just like, hey, how are you? And people responded back. And then I used to be like, oh my goodness, do you see the things that I'm doing on social media? They're like, yes, I see you, girl. Like, I saw that you just started a new business. And because of that, people started chit-chatting with you. Then you learning the questions, like what to ask people. And then if you're really smart, because I want you to be really smart right now, as you asking questions and you see people responding positively, I want you to start to write it down, those questions, because that's when you started your own system. And that's how I started my own system for
Love
4 years. Like my first 4 years of network marketing, I didn't make more than $500 every month. And I almost quit, and I didn't quit, but I was really close to, because my husband used to call me and said, you working, you doing all these things, you're working full time, but you're making like 300 in a month. It basically just paying for your product. Like, what are you doing? Like this thing here that you're doing, just paying for your products, but it's not making more money the way you want to. In the beginning, I was happy with $300. I'm telling the truth. I was.
Right.
But afterwards, when you put the work and you feel like you work, and you really haven't got anything back, right? The way you want to, you feel like, man, I worked so hard. I was on my private messages all the time. I talked to so many people. I'm building this list. I have all these people to follow up with because they want the products or the business. And why am I not making 1,000 or 2,000? Like I will never be able to work, like quit my job if I'm not making a little bit more. So I got more serious on the private message and I started to write it down, everything. So for 4 years, that's what I did. I was learning the system, learning how to ask the question. It was like all about my communication skills. Like if people that started with me would just be on my brain or just have this like list of questions, how to invite, how to start a conversation, how to follow up with the people, how to like the objections, like what kind of objections they'll have in, or what is the system like, what do you say 1 2 3 4 5 6, right? Like what do you say each time, and how do you respond to each one of these questions that you have in. And I started to dreaming about this, that one day, okay, and I wrote this on my vision. I have a vision letter. One day I would be asked to be interviewed. Okay. I would be asked by many people interview me on podcasts or whatever. I would be invited to do trainings in different companies, not my own company, right? And all this thing has happened, guys, all because messenger chat. That's so awesome. I was dreaming about like one day being on the stage. All this thing has happened already. But think about 4 years of learning messenger chat, 4 years of writing down the things that I learned. And then I was about to quit. And I said, it's something else out there. And there's something else way bigger than me that I have to keep going.
I love
So
that.
I changed. Yeah. So I changed company when I did this. And I was really afraid to start over again from zero, but I did it anyway. But guess what? I started up with fresh ideas. I started out with like, it's okay to have new beginnings. So for those of you, they're like in your third company, fifth company, 10th company, it doesn't matter. We hear from all over, so many top leaders. They have been in 10 different companies and eventually they found the one they just like loved, right? And they become successful with. So this is my second company. So this private message chat, look how special this is. I put the whole system in the paper, then I put the whole system in the PDF, and then I started putting the system like in messengers. And nowadays, okay, I'm giving the progression of how I got there because I want you to know that in network marketing, you will have your own breakthroughs, like one after the other, after the other, after the other. You won't have everything at one time. It won't be perfect right away. It's just not how it works. Okay. Like you're going to have to go through this. So I'm telling the process, like it went from my mind to messengers to get positive responses to like, oh, write it down, the ones that I really love. Oh, if people could really know what I know in the beginning, they would be so successful. And I marinate on that dream. Yeah. Then I put the step together in a PDF, right? Then from the PDF, I was so afraid to share with people, by the way, because I was like, people are gonna think I'm like, who is just thinking like to share all this stuff? But I kept all these things with me. Then I put it on the system, and today we have Boards app. So if you know anything about Boards app, then you know what that means. So now all of this is on Boards app.
That's amazing. I love it. And big shocker, but that's your duplication. And that's what I was going to before, is that when I first started with a company, I became an accidental leader. I wanted to do things differently than what my parents did. And so I was scared to ask people to join my company because I saw how hard my parents worked. And I thought, I didn't want to do that. And then as things progressed, and like I said, I became an accidental leader because I was doing, we did home parties with the first company I was with. And someone came up and said, I want to join your team. Like, I just saw you do $1,000 show and you got 4 bookings. I want to learn how to do that. And then it became, ooh, now I got to teach this. And I was not good at teaching it. I might have learned how to do it in my youth and heard of it because it's ingrained in me, but I didn't know how to teach it. And so I think what you just shared there is so important because you figured out what worked for you in your style. And then you set it up in such a way that you're continuing to learn and grow from it. And now you can teach that to others. Like, yes, that's the definition. And you know what? Every single leader, and this is why I love doing this and why I've even got the podcast going here, is because every leader has found something a little bit different to propel their business forward. And every leader has such different skill sets and mind growth hacks and, training. I mean, like when I interviewed Sarah, like Sarah is so authentic in front of doing live videos. And I'm like, girl, I still can't do that myself. I get into a live video. I'm like, but I'm awesome at doing interviews, that's my gift. And so I'm going to go into what my gift is. Like I had my own radio program years ago. Like I've probably interviewed over 400 people doing this. And it's a love, and putting Di at ease where she's like, yeah, like I could just answer anything with Jody and it's authentic because that's my gift. And that's what I want to share with the world. So now, how are you now using the messenger chat? So you use that to get, clients and customers, and it's been working really well for you. And now what are you doing to help it use, can I ask this, for your teams? Because we spoke about this before.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can. So at first, like I was saying, I was so afraid to share it because every time that we learn something, you're like, is somebody else going to get it the way I got it? Like you never know. And I started to sharing just a little bit. I just started to sharing like 3 questions, 5, 10 questions to all the leaders and like, this is really good. I'm going to use it. Mm-hmm. And then I'll tell you. how much I love this, you know? So now what I do is I teach people how to do different types of chats. So at first, I learned how to do that one chat, that one-on-one, me and my prospect, right? How to enroll them as a customer, how to enroll them as to be on my team. And by the way, Jody, it took me 7 months to be able to sign up my first person on my team. That's how
Wow.
much like afraid I was on the first beginning of network marketing. I was the same way as you. It's like, who wants to do what I'm doing? Like, who wants to do this for $300? Like, I don't know if anybody else want to do it.
And you
But
know
then,
what? Sorry to interrupt there.
no, you go, you go.
My spouse, because before the conversation, I'm like, I said to my spouse, like, you need to do something on this side. And he's been doing the same thing. And so he joined his company in November, I think, and he actually just signed up his first person this month all by himself. And I'm like, woohoo. So exactly. You know what?
Yeah,
When you're ready, you're ready. And I think you both have very similar personalities, by the way. And that's okay
yeah,
because you guys got to learn. And why am I doing this? And then all of a sudden it's like, boom. And then I bet you that that's after that first validation of that first person, then you really, because you believed in yourself that you could do.
yes. It really was everything. And I felt so prepared too at that point. But I tell the truth, I do regret it. I wish I would just have that belief right away up front. I wish that I had a mentor. They'd be like, you got this. Like, message 10 people right now that's all about business, or message 10 people right now that, message 10 moms just like you that would love to do what you do. Do you know what I mean? And maybe like, they told me that, but I didn't believe it at first. But I wish I would have just like went crazy, because that's what I do for my team, right? I create that belief on them and I tell them like, this is it. This is your first 30 days. This is so important. You got to create your story. You know what I mean? And transfer that belief and that vision. It's what really, really helps your team. But
I hope you enjoyed today's episode and learned a lot. Each one of my guests have a special and unique spot in my heart as they have shared what they love about their business and how they truly have grown in their entrepreneur journey. Thanks for sticking around to the end, and I would love to gift to you a fun and easy quiz that you can take right now that will help you assess how you feel about the sales process in your beautiful business. Building relationships, lifting each other up so we can all gain more in our lives and our business is what is truly important to me. And my hope is that in some small way, I've been able to do that for you today. So again, this is Jody Maley with the Heart-Centered Entrepreneur Series here in beautiful BC, Canada. Truly have a great and inspired rest of your day. The link to the quiz will be attached below, and please like, follow, and share this podcast if it inspired you.